What is going on, everybody, and welcome to my first Marvel Snap video here on my YouTube channel. I am Septilence. I've got over 300 hours in Marvel Snap, and I hit Infinite for the first time this season, which is currently the Hulk season. It's been a good one, and I'm really excited to jump through and rank every single location that Marvel Snap has to offer. And by every single location, I mean the ones that the tier list maker online that I found already had listed. So a couple of the newer ones aren't going to be here, but we're going to tackle a good chunk of them. I want to paint you guys a decent picture of kind of what I'm looking to do, what deck I'm using, and how these locations may impact that deck overall. So keep in mind when I'm ranking these locations, this is currently my #1 deck. I use this to get from I think the 50s well into I think 35k in Infinite I peaked at this season so far. I think there's still over a week of the season left, so plenty of room to grow. But we're looking at Deadpool, Forge, Bucky Barnes, Carnage, Wolverine, Killmonger, Venom, Deathlock, Hulkbuster, Shang-Chi, Null, and Death. So for those that may be unfamiliar, the whole point of this deck is to build Deadpool as high in the value as you can. Every time Deadpool dies, he returns to your hand with double the power that he left it with. So if I play Forge into Deadpool, that kicks him up to 3, and then I destroy him with Carnage, that makes him 6. Do it again with Venom, that turns it into 12. Again with Deadlock, 24. So on and so forth. And that's going to be the value of Deadpool. That's why he's critical to the deck. And of course, Death is going to be critical because of how many cards you end up destroying, like that Deadpool or that Bucky or that Wolverine. So you want to have Death, who will most likely cost anywhere between 3 and 0 by that 6th turn. Of course, Null is powerful. She gains the total power of all destroyed cards. So when you build a deck that relies so heavily on destroying cards, she's going to be critical to the deck. So enough about that. Let's jump into the tier list maker. Just kick things off super strong and early on. #1, Altar of Death. After you play a card here, destroy it and gain +2 energy next turn. Obviously, for the deck I'm running right now, that is a goated deck spot. That is a goated location. So I'm going to be running a lot of these based on the Death Pool set, but some of them I just really like or I just really don't like, and it'll have less to do with the deck that I'm playing. I think a good example of that is Asgard. I'm pretty indifferent about it. The decks I run, even outside of Deathpool, tended to be pretty slow burners. I'm winning in turn 5 and 6 and 7 pretty often. So Asgard, I usually only draw those 2 cards if my opponent doesn't play it or if I'm just feeling lucky. Atlantis is another one that I'm pretty indifferent on. If you only have 1 card here, give it +5 power. That's great. That's awesome. Just not really helpful in the decks I'm running. If you're running a Namor or an Orca, maybe, it can be really strong, but it's just not one that's really working well for me so far. Attilian. It's going to be after turn 3, shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 3 cards. I'm really not fond of this one no matter what deck I'm running, but especially with that Deadpool deck because I need Deadpool in my hand, and if I get him and then he gets shuffled away, I'm really at kind of the luck of the draw on whether or not I'm going to be running into him. So I really don't like when it pulls away. So much of how I play the game relies on the exact cards in my hand, as I'm sure everybody really does. So when I lose them, I have to re-strategize mid-game. That can kind of hurt my chances a bit. Avengers Compound, I don't like. I'm just not fond of locations that force you to play in a specific spot. So many decks require setup, they require performance, that when Avengers Compound pops up, it's like, okay, now I have to shake my entire plan around this. Always frustrating, but never the end of the world. Bar Sinister, that's an S tier. That's a goated location. If you disagree, I don't know what you are talking about, because this is one where after you play a card here, you fill this location with it. This is huge not only for the Deathpool deck, but for a lot of on-reveal decks, which I'm particularly fond of. Those seem to be the ones that I lean towards, that I'm really excited about, that I'm always eager to play. And Deathpool works so well because you can do 4 Forges into a Deadpool. You can do 3 Deadpools into a Carnage or a Venom, and then the Venom stack on top of each other. It can get really large. It can get really exciting, and that's really fun to look into. Bar with no name. Maybe a bit of a hot take. I think this is a fun location because it turns a game that's based so heavily on all 3 into only playing 2. And there's a couple of locations. If you're winning this, give 4 to the adjacent locations or give +3 to the other locations, like Baxter Building, which is actually coming up next. But it's really difficult to play the game when all of a sudden you can't use one of those 3 locations. Does it make it harder for me to play characters, or more specifically just Wolverine? Yeah, it's a little annoying, but I do like the challenge it creates, and I like how it makes the game just a wee bit more difficult. Baxter Building, I hinted at a moment ago. Whenever you, whoever's winning this location gets +3 to the other 2. I like it. It's good. Sometimes you can sneak out a win just barely, or if somebody plays a high-power card there, you drop Shang-Chi late in the game, you flip it, you can win multiple locations, especially ones like Sanctum Sanctorum, where you can't play cards there. It's really nice to have locations that buff up those other locations where maybe you're not getting as much value with your deck. The Bifrost. I don't like it, gang. Maybe that's a hot take. I'm not sure. After turn 4, you move all cards one location to the right. I am a movement deck hater. I don't think it's fun. I don't enjoy what we're doing with it. I don't enjoy how it's working. It's just, I think movement decks are cringe. I'm not afraid to say that. So the Bifrost, it really enables them. It makes it a lot easier to play, and it just shakes up what I'm trying to do, which I'm never particularly fond of. Camp Lehigh. Add a random 3-card cost to each player's hand. No, you know what? I'm indifferent. That's great. I feel like there's not a lot of 3 costs that work particularly well that you're really like uber excited to see. Maybe an extra Venom or a Killmonger is going to be really helpful, but there's so many other cards in the game that's like, okay, cool. Maybe I'll be able to work with this one way or another, but usually the deck I've built is pretty on purpose, so adding new cards to the mix is tough. Central Park. That's an A tier, guys. It's a good map. It's a good location, rather. It adds a squirrel to each location, so that's 6 squirrels in total, especially for the Deathpool deck that I'm running. I mean, 1 Killmonger, and that makes Death the 2 cost already, let alone the fact I'm destroying Bucky or Deadpool or Wolverine, so it can work really well, can be very beneficial, and it's always great when somebody snaps when they see the squirrels, because then I know they're running a 1-cost deck, a zoo deck, and it's really easy to just hold Killmonger in my hand and get a free win. Cloning Vats. You know, when I originally had the idea to do this, I thought I was going to put it in A tier. Guys, I might kick it up one. I think this might be a goated location. I think it's one that is super exciting. It allows you to do some really wacky, crazy things. Multiple Venom stacks, or multiple Nulls, or multiple Deadpools, or multiple really anything you're running. Multiple Blue Marvels if you're running a Zoo deck. Multiple White Tigers if you're running a Wong deck. I think it's really cool. If you guys can't tell, with Bar Sinister right into Cloning Vats, I really like the locations that enable us to play the same card more than once, or that enable us to play the same card over and over. Collapsed Mine. I'm gonna be a little biased on. I don't mean to be, but it's really good for the Deadpool deck that I'm running, as we kind of talked about earlier. The Collapsed Mine, when we skip our turns, that's 8 rocks getting destroyed in total, which makes Death cost a whopping 0. And it all of a sudden gives me a 0 power, or 0 cost 12 power card that I can hold on to until turn 6 with no repercussions. I like it a lot. I think it's really beneficial. Crimson Cosmos, you can't play cards that cost 1, 2, or 3. I don't like it. Even outside of playing Deathpool, I don't like it, because a lot of decks rely on cards that are 1 through 3 cost. You look at maybe some other decks like the High Evolutionary, which leans a little bit more toward the higher cost, but you've still got to play Cyclops, you've still got to play Misty Knight and Sunspot, so there's a lot of cards that lose value and they aren't able to be played there, which is unlucky, to say the least. Daily Bugle, I'm pretty indifferent. Get a copy of a card from your opponent's hand. It's random, however many cards they have, you have a 1 in that many cards chance of being that lucky and getting a card that could be really beneficial, but it's usually just a crap card that you hold in your hand for the rest of the game, so it is what it is. Danger Room, cards play here have a 25% chance of being destroyed. I honestly, even though I play destroy decks, I'm not huge on it, because it always destroys the cards I don't want it to, and it never destroys the cards that I do, which is pretty frustrating, and it does get a little bit under my skin when I'm not able to utilize Danger Room the way that it's supposed to be played. Dark Dimension, no cards are revealed here until the end of the game. If I could put it in the middle, if I could put it right between good, not great, and indifferent, I think I would, but I think it's going to lean in the indifferent a little bit. If I'm running an on-reveal deck, or as I love to call it, a Wong reveal deck, you know, Wong into White Tiger, into Odin, or something similar like that, this is really nice because it can't really be counterplayed by my opponent because it all happens at once, but that's the only real guaranteed instance I can see this location getting a lot of value, so Death's Domain. I like it. If you play any card here, destroy it. Bucky Barnes gets value, Deadpool gets value, Wolverine gets value. If this location pops up and I play Deadpool at it, I always get a free win, which is awesome. So this is a little more biased based on the deck that I'm running, and obviously a lot of these are going to be. I've been running this deck for like 100 hours. But overall, I think it is a fun location. I think it's a good one. And I think it forces us to strategize in really unique ways. You know, we have to pray for something like a Bifrost or a Baxter Building. And you really have to find a way to play a card there without playing a card there. And sometimes I do enjoy when that happens, but you look at something like Crimson Cosmos, and I don't like how it's just kind of like, nah, you can't play any cards here, ever. That's a little frustrating to me, but Death's Domain allows you to open up some really unique opportunities, and I think that can be a lot of fun. District X. It's a frustrating deck, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I like the ones that really kind of the game falls out of your hand a little bit. Like, I know, I'll spoiler alert, I'm gonna put Ego in the goated tier. I think he's so fun. I love the games where it really comes down to that luck of the draw, but District X kind of taking your deck apart can be really frustrating, especially when you're on a losing streak and then all of a sudden you can't even play the deck you're supposed to win with. It's a little frustrating. I might even kick it up to indifferent. I feel like maybe it's okay overall. But a map that ruins my day, a location that ruins my day, Dream Dimension. I am a Dream Dimension hater. Hashtag Dream Dimension hater. This is such a frustrating location. On turn 5, all cards cost 1 more. This is devastating to so many decks. You can't play White Tiger, which ruins that deck. You can't play Shaw and Silver Surfer on turn 5 if you bought your Sarah out. You can't play Sarah on turn 5. So there's so many examples I could give of why Dream Dimension is so frustrating. But overall, it's just one of those locations where nobody's excited to see it. Nobody's looking forward to Dream Dimension. Unlike my boy Ego, who takes control of both players' hands and plays the game for you. This is something that I will always snap on. I think it's so funny where all of a sudden it's up in the air. It's a complete crapshoot, and it's not like District X where it's like, oh, you're gonna get better cards than me, and then it's easy for you to play strategically and win. It's a luck of the draw, through and through, and I think that is so fun. I'm an Ego believer. But Ego will be shrouded by Elysium, which I think a very large chunk of players would agree that this is the best location in the game because it enables so many decks to be so much more fun. It allows you to do crazier combos that you're not able to do. When you look at, who is it, Legion, I believe, that changes all 3 locations to whatever location he's played at. All your cards are costing 3 less. I mean, it is a rush. It is so much fun. And Elysium, it makes all cards cost 1 less. Easily one of the best locations in the game. Eternity Range. After turn 3, add a rock to the losing side. So a rock is just a 0/0, Kare 1/0, so it costs 1, has 0 power, fills up a location. It's not the end of the world for me right now because I'm running Carnage and Venom and Deathlock and Killmonger, so I'm not particularly worried about it. When I'm running other things, it's like, how annoying, but I don't think this really matters that much usually, so I'm pretty indifferent about it. Fisk Tower, and I believe, yeah, this will be the incorrect Fisk Tower. Now it's when a card moves to here, give it -4 power. Do not destroy it. So we'll go with the -4 power in mind. It's frustrating. It's annoying, especially when people are running like Kingpin Spider-Man or Kingpin Magneto, and then you're getting -6 on your cards. That's a bit annoying, but I feel like I run into that so rarely that it's not something that's become overly frustrating for me yet. Gamma Lab would be in good, not great, but so many people run Shang-Chi, myself included, that if you're rushing to Gamma Lab, you're rushing to lose the location, and you're just gonna give up. You're gonna lose that location so early, and then all of a sudden you lose all this power. It's okay for me because I'm running Null. If somebody does run Shang-Chi, oh no, you just give my Null 24 power, so she becomes a lot stronger, especially because they already played Shang-Chi, yada yada, etc, etc. Grand Central. After turn 5, put a card from each player's hand here and it is randomly chosen. I think I don't like Grand Central because somehow it always pulls the worst card from my hand. It always somehow knows how to pull the most frustrating card from my hand. It's like all of like Bucky and Wolverine on one location. My hand is like Carnage and Death. And I'm like, oh yes, 50-50, please pull Death out of my hand. And then it always pulls Carnage and he hits nobody. And then I have a 2 power wasted Carnage. Always frustrating, always gets in the way, but it is what it is. Hala, after turn 4, destroy all cards controlled by the losing player. I'm indifferent again. I feel like I'm really filling up the indifferent section. This works well if I kind of toss a Deadpool or a Bucky there last turn, but I feel like a lot of people try not to play it until turn 4 because there's always that what if they play something higher and I lose the cards that are played there. If you're not running a destroy deck, which is very few decks in the game, you're gonna lose value and you might likely lose that location. So it's like, it is what it is. Hellfire Club, cards that cost 1 can't be played here. It's gonna go here for the same reason Crimson Cosmos did. It's annoying. I don't like that it kind of prevents my deck in particular from getting value. If you're running a Zoo deck, it's really hard to get early value, but you've got a Shanna, you've got a Squirrel Girl, so it's not the end of the world. Overall, it's a little bit frustrating, though. Hell's Kitchen. Draw a 1-cost card. Nope, I grabbed the wrong location. Everybody look away. Hold on. Hell's Kitchen. Draw 1 cost card from your deck. I like it. It's good. It's not great. I enjoy that it enables my Deadpool deck right now because it's great to draw Forge or to draw Deadpool because those are the only 2 1-cost cards in the deck right now. But overall, I think if you're running pretty much any other deck, you're not super excited to be getting a 1-cost card. You're not like, oh boy, my Yondu's really going to shake up the game here, which he can, but it's a little bit lackluster compared to what some of these other locations can do. Isle of Silence. I don't like it. I don't like it. But I do like it when other people are running cringe cards. Like Cosmo. Guys, I hate Cosmo. It goes up a tier because I hate Cosmo. If he can't be played and Isle of Silence gets in the way, mwah, chef's kiss. I love it. Cosmo's so annoying and I hate him. Jotunheim. After each turn, cards here lose -1 power. Unless you're running an Annihilus deck, there's no other value to be found here. Maybe you've got a green goblin, maybe you've got a hobgoblin on the board. That's great, but I don't know. It's not like you're going to be getting a winning amount of value off of the 3 extra turns of -1s that you're getting. Camartage. Bang. That is a goated location because so many maps that gets great value, so many decks, excuse me, you really find a great performance from it. You're seeing a lot of White Tiger. You don't need to waste turn 4 on Wong, so maybe you can get a little bit more value out the gate early on. If you're looking at something like a Deathpool deck, I can play Venom really aggressively, and if I have Bucky Barnes there, Venom absorbs them twice. That's 2 cards destroyed for death. Null does a great job as well. I could have gone into this doing one of 2 things, being completely non-biased with the deck that I'm running, or just fully lean into it, and because this deck has been so good to me, guys, I'm leaning all the way into it. You'll have to forgive me for that one. Clintar. It's weird. The cards here don't count as destroyed, so it's not like it's super beneficial for death or anything. It just turns them into a symbiote, enables Shang-Chi a little bit, but this, very similar to Hala, is... people don't tend to play it until turn 4 has already come to a close, so you don't really see a lot of that. Nowhere. On reveal effects do not happen at this location. Frustrating. It's good for turn 6 and only turn 6. I can play Null there, I can play Death there, or Deadpool. If you're running a Sebastian Shaw deck, you can put your Shaw there because he's not on reveal. But overall, I think it can be a little bit annoying because you don't really get to play the game you want to, especially if that location is found. Kunlun ruins my day. It's boring. I hate it. Movement decks are cringe. Kiln, after you can't play... oh my goodness, I'm going to start over. Kiln, you can't play cards here after turn 4. I'm indifferent. I run Wolverine a lot. He can bounce around from place to place. If you're running Jeff, this location doesn't really matter either. And I see Kiln is actually a bit cut off for you guys, but we'll kick it down to the next row with whatever we put in indifferent next. Lamentis 1. Just draw 3 cards, destroy both decks. So not only does this work great for the Deathpool deck, but I love, much like what I talked about earlier, cloning Vats and Bar with no name, I love the challenge this presents. I love that it makes it really difficult. You can no longer draw cards. You can no longer wait, okay, great, I'm going to draw blank. You basically start the game with 7 cards in your hand. And all of a sudden, those are the only 7 cards you're going to be able to utilize. So if you're running a deck that relies really heavily on 1 card, a Hela deck, for example, or a Heimdall movement deck, it's really difficult to get that value if you don't draw that as one of your 3 cards, or technically 7, including the 4 that you draw at the beginning of the game. Lachuga? I don't know. I'm probably slaughtering that name pronunciation. After you play a card here, shuffle 3 rocks into your deck. That's annoying. That's not fun. That's frustrating. Your deck gets really inconvenienced. You get caught up a lot, and I think that is not that exciting. Lemuria. No cards are revealed here this turn. Cool. You know, a little weird, but whatever. I'm indifferent on it. Yeah, there's our next indifferent row. It slows things down a little bit, makes the pace of play maybe a wee bit slower, but overall, I think it's exciting regardless. Limbo, turn 7, bang! I think this game should have 7 turns overall. I think it really enables the game to get much more aggressive. It enables players to set up some really cool combos, like She-Hulk, or like a turn 7 Deadpool Null, or maybe Death if you didn't get her low enough, can be utilized there as well. But overall, 7 turns, I think enables the game to be a lot of fun, forces us to think differently. You can't just win on that 6th turn, so how long do you hold to the 7? Los Diablos base. It doesn't ruin my day, but I'm not excited to see it. You know, it's like maybe if we roll up and Wakanda's on the other side, because I don't like Wakanda, because I run destroy decks very often, then it's like, okay, great, things can be a lot of fun. But overall, I think Los Diablos base, after turn 3, ruin a random location. It is what it is. Luke's Bar. After you play a card here, return it to your hand. If you're running something like a Sebastian Shaw deck, this is goated, no doubt about it. If you're running something like a discard deck, this could be goated if you're trying to get that Apocalypse really high up. But for a lot of decks, I think it's not something we're excited to see. I think it's not a location that we're looking forward to running into. I don't think it's something that I see and I go, oh boy, this is great. Sometimes I think it's an easy win because I can get my Wolverine there. But again, Jeff is a good counter to that. So is Sabretooth or X23 can be utilized pretty aggressively here. Not Sabretooth, actually, I take that back. But now we have to scroll down a little bit so we can see our next location, which is Machine World. If you play a card here, add it to your opponent's hand. Who wants to do that? That's no fun. That makes playing every deck you want to play really difficult. So we are not Machine World believers. Ew, cringe. One of, if not the worst location in the game, Mindscape. At the start of your turn, at the start of turn 6, both players swap hands. The amount of times I lose to Mindscape because I've got freaking Null in my hand and I can't get her out in time, but I can't not play my deck either. So frustrating. And I'm glad that Mindscape is hated by a large majority of the community, myself included. Miniaturized Lab. On turns 3, 4, and 5, no cards can be added here. This is interesting. It's almost like a better version of Crimson Cosmos because it's not, oh, I can't play any cards here ever. You can play them 1, 2, and 6. But it's that middle game, things like White Tiger or things like summon decks like Hela, if you play her a turn early, can't really be utilized here. So it's interesting, but I'm never excited to see it. Who we got next? Mirror Dimension. On turn 4, transform into one of the other 4 locations. Honestly, that just has so much versatility that I don't blame it, right? It's all about what location it turns into. It's about what location you're thinking is going to be making an appearance. That's really going to change your opinion of it. But I think Mirror Dimension as a concept, as a location, is very neat. Mojo World. Whoever has more cards here gets 100 plus power. I don't like it. I think it's cringe. Easy win if you're playing a 1-cost card deck, and if you're not, good frickin' luck. What else are we running into? Monster Island. Add a 10 power monster here for each player. So this has been changed since whoever made this tier list made it. I'm okay. With the deck I'm running, I think it goes into good, not great, because I can throw a Venom there, or I can just utilize anything to get Null 9 more power later down the line. If somebody runs Shang-Chi into this, Null and Death both get bonus, so we'll go indifferent, but for my deck specifically, maybe it goes good, not great. Monster Metropolis. Guys, it doesn't ruin my day, but it makes no sense. The cards with the highest power here get +3 power. Yeah, you were gonna win the location anyway. You had the higher power. So what does this do? Genuinely, if you guys want to comment and explain this to me like I'm a 5-year-old child, I have never understood the value of Monster Metropolis. It just, if you already have the higher power, you're already going to win the location. So what is the difference? Up next, Morag. Cringe. Hate it. You can't play your first card here each turn. Dog, why not? That's a stupid card. I don't like it. It gets in my way. I think it's frustrating. I don't like the ones that restrict player movement unless it's something a little more exciting like Bar with no name. Some of these are just hypocritical. Are some of these biased? Yeah, but it's my tier list. If you disagree, show me your tier list. Muir Island, pretty cool. Good, not great, maybe goated. It's a pretty cool location overall. Pretty simple. After each turn, give every card here +1 power. So for my Deadpool deck, amazing. For like a zoo deck, amazing. I think this can be a really good location overall, but for a lot of builds, a lot of sets, it's just not as valuable as maybe other locations like Elysium, like the Baxter building can be, but it's a fun one overall. It's definitely one that I like. Murder World. This is biased for the deck that I'm playing. S tier. Gets me an early Deadpool, especially if I've got a Forge in hand. By turn 3, it gets me a destroyed Bucky Barnes out there, so I've got the Winter Soldier on the field. Very valuable overall. Necrotia, cringe. Why has everybody got minuses? I don't like it. And yep, Negative Zone, cringe. -3, don't care, I don't like it. New York. On turn 6, you can move cards to this location. I like it. I feel like maybe I'm a little closer to indifferent overall, but I do like the location. I think it really adds a versatility of like, A, are both players paying attention to their locations? Are they realizing they can shift cards? And if they are they weaponizing that? Are they utilizing that to play something strong or to kind of shift up a site or a location that, oh, it looked like they were going to lose? Here comes the turn 6 rotation where they can put a lot of power there late game. I like it. It's a good kind of wild card location that people can really weaponize effectively. I don't know how to say this one. I'm not even going to try. Cards here have +5 power. Fun fact, that +5 power matters for Null. I think it's a bug because it doesn't matter for other cards, but right now it does matter for Null. So good, not great. Oh, it also matters for Venom, I'm pretty sure, which is, again, I think a bug. It's not supposed to matter, but it is what it is. Novaroma, draw a card. Hell yeah, man. Oh, no, wrong one. It's simple, it's effective. Drawing a card is great, especially when you need a card real bad. Olympia, draw 2 cards. Hell yeah, man! For the same reason. I think it's a very effective location. It really helps get players get their deck flowing if they're caught up a little bit. In not quite a land drought, because we don't play lands in this game, but very similar energy of like, oh, this card's good if I draw this card, or if I didn't have this card in my hand. But it helps you work out that value a little bit better overall. Onslaught Citadel. I like it. Again, I used to run zoo decks pretty often, so things like Blue Marvel, Iron Man, Onslaught, and even Null in the deck I'm running right now, you can get some really high value there if you play the proper cards. It's a bit of a luck of the draw location, as obviously only certain cards are impacted, but I think it's a fun one, and I love seeing the big number get higher. Cringe. Orcus Forge. Cringe. After you play a card here, add a Sentinel to your hand. Are you playing a collector deck? That's awesome. This is goated. Are you not playing a collector deck? Yeah, you hate this probably just as much as I do. And locations that we hate, let's keep it going, baby. Oscorp Tower. Come on now. Why would I want to give them my cards? I also hate when this is the third location and you have to like really, you have to panic, you have to improvise as quickly as possible because it can get a little bit annoying when you're trying to make the magic happen and you get your cards stolen. Pretty annoying overall. Plunder Castle, I'm pretty sure it is not in the game anymore. Only cards that cost 6 can be played here. Either this has the rarest flip rate that I've ever seen, or it's not in the game, because I've never played Plunder Castle. So we're gonna skip it. Project Pegasus, +5 energy this turn. Goated. Let's get some big cards out there early, baby. Let's get freaky with it. Let's get some high value off rip, especially if you're running something like a Sebastian Shaw deck. My goodness, does this go berserk. Quantum Realm, set the base power of a card here to 2. That's just kind of boring. It works well for things like Null or Venom, where it's base power specifically, and they kind of hold that additional power, but I don't know, just kind of a lackluster location. Quantum Tunnel. There's already a card that does this, Lockjaw. So it's weird that we have 2 things that do that. But I'd like the spontaneity. I like winning on a random kind of moment like that. I think it's really exciting. The Raft, S tier. When you're running a zoo deck, bro, the Raft is the freest location you could possibly run into. What's next? Rickety Bridge. This works well for Wolverine and X-23. Literally nobody else. One of the biggest counters, play armor. And for those that don't know, we'll get into this when I do my 2-cost cards tier list. I hate armor. I hate armor so much. I think it's such a cringe card. I hate armor. I hate Cosmo. I hate Shang-Chi. I hate cards that take the fun out of the game. And Rickety Bridge, the only way to beat that is to do that. Sacred Timeline. First to fill this up gets a copy of their opening hand. I'm indifferent. If you've got a good opening hand, that's gas. If you don't, oh, okay, cool. I'll take another copy of Deathlock and Hulkbuster, but I still haven't drawn Deadpool. You know what I mean? Like it's okay, but I don't think it's really that interesting. Sakar, add a random card from each player's hand here after this turn. I like it. Spontaneity, chaos. It's really difficult. Do I like this for the same reason I dislike Grand Central? Yeah, I do, and I'll stand on that. Sanctum Sanctorum. I like it, like I mentioned earlier. It kind of forces you to think. It's almost a different version of Bar with no name. You really have to improvise. You have to try and get cards there. If you're not able to, you have to double down on the other 2 locations or just one of them to try and go for a draw. But then what if they play something at Sanctum and those dominoes continue to fall over and over? Savage Land. This is biased because of the deck I'm playing. Summon 2 Raptors, bro. You tell me I got a 6 cost. I got a 6 power Carnage out here. Hell yeah, easy peasy. Sewer System, cringe. All cards here, -1 power. Shadowland, summon a -2 ninja power. Is great. It's a good location. Everybody hates it, so we all love it. You know what I mean? Shuri's Lab, double the power of a card played. Yoink, goated. Sinister London, the best location in the entire game. I don't even care what deck I'm playing. I don't care if it's a zoo deck. I don't care if it's a Deathpool deck. I don't care if it's a Sebastian Shaw deck or a High Evolutionary deck. This is the most gas location in the whole game. This is literally my personal favorite. I love Sinister London because you get freaky with it. You get weird. You get double on reveals. You get double Wolverines. You get double Killmongers and She-Hulks, and everything about it is so cool. I'm a Sinister London believer till the day I die. Sokovia, discard a card. God, that's annoying. Why? It always discards the wrong card, and it's so frustrating. Space Throne. Only 1 card can be played here for each player. Honestly, I'm indifferent. I get frustrated when I play a card at the 3rd location, and then the 3rd location is the Space Throne, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me, dude? I was just here. What is going on? It gets a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Stark Tower. After turn 5, give all cards here +2 power. I'm indifferent. It's a race of who can get 4 cards there faster, but if you rush too much, you put a bunch of 1 costs down, and then they only have like 4 power each. Really easy to counter in the late game. Starlight Citadel. After turn 4, place or swap the position of each location. Fun fact, sometimes it does not swap all locations. It will only swap 2 of them. I've seen it happen. I'm indifferent. I don't like it. It gets a bit frustrating, especially if you're running something and there's like Wakanda and you're running a destroy deck, or if you're running something specific and you get Strange Academy. It's really frustrating, but it is what it is. It's just doing its job. Strange Academy. Randomly shuffle all the cards played here at the end of turn 5. No, I'm going into the last turn of the game. My setup is peak right now. You're going to start moving stuff around? No, that gets under my skin so bad. Subterranea. Shuffle 5 rocks into each deck. Dude, why? Why are we doing that? And I always draw like four rocks in like 5 turns. I'm like, how? You all got put on the top of the deck? It's really frustrating, but it is what it is. Superflow, S tier. If you've got no cards here, +1 energy. Oh, I love having extra energy. Oh my goodness, what a good feeling. And as long as you don't play a card there, you get 7 energy turn 6. You get a little bit of an advantage, a bit of a bonus perhaps. I love it. I'm all about it. We're doing a lot of scrolling now. You guys are gonna have to forgive me because we kind of have to scroll to the top and bottom. Big house, 4, 5, 6 can't be played. Cringe. The hub, add a random card in my hand. Sure, baby, let's do it. Icebox, make a card in your hand, cost 1 more. Cringe, ruins my day. The Nexus, your power here granted to every location as well. I love the Nexus because you have to lock in. Every location does not matter if the Nexus is on the board. This is the only location that matters. And you have to put as many high power there as you can, but you have to dodge a Shang-Chi. If you're doing destroy, you have to dodge an armor. Things get weird. Things get freaky, and I love every second of it. Down to the bottom again. The peak. Swap the cost and power of every card in your hand. I'm down. It's weird. It's freaky. If I've got Null in my hand, oh my god, I'm feeling good. I'm just feeling amazing to have that power come out. Tinkerer's Workshop. +1 energy? Hell yeah, man. We love +1 energy. This always seems to be like the first or second location too, so you're like, oh, you're nice. I got 3 power on turn 2. That's awesome. But it's nothing special. Titan. 6 cost cards. Cost 1 less. I like it. It doesn't change the game for me. It doesn't make anything easier, anything harder for me overall. Can you play She-Hulk 1 turn earlier? Yeah, that's great. But everything else, you're probably still busting out on turn 6 anyway, because your turn 5 is usually a setup for your turn 6. The Triskelion. Just fill your hand with random cards. I like this. I don't think it's goated, but I think it's fun. Because the Triskelion, it doesn't ruin your deck. It's no District X where, okay, we're replacing the entire deck. It's like, we'll just give you a couple of crapshoot cards. Let's see what you can do with them, baby. But your deck is still playable. Your deck is still viable. You can still do the original win con, but hey, maybe if we're feeling fun, we'll throw in an additional win con for you. Tiva, I hate you so much. All of my decks require turn 5, 6, 7 setup, and Tiva just ruining my freaking deck off a rip. Turn 4's over. I'm like, dude, come on. What are you doing? The Vault. Turn 6, cards can't be played here. I like it. It doesn't prevent you from never playing cards there, but it makes you kind of run a little bit earlier. If Titan's on the board, you throw a turn 6 in early, that's great, but all of a sudden, you've got to tank down a high power card there turn 5 if you weren't playing it earlier, or just sacrifice the location. You've got to tank it, which is really risky all the time. We're almost done here, folks. Only a couple more locations. If you're still here, well, hey, thank you so much. What the heck? If you want to drop a subscribe on the channel about it, I appreciate that so much. A like as well. Maybe even a comment as well. Something that's well, cool tier list. I'd be pretty flattered. Vibranium Mines. Screw you. I hate you. Vibranium Mines. Shuffle 3 Vibranium into your deck. Oh, they're 1 cost 4 power cards that can't be destroyed. They're just permanent when you play them? No, dude, stop filling up my location. Vormir, first card played here by each player is destroyed. I like it. I run a lot of destroyed decks. You know, Wolverine comes out strong. You got Bucky Barnes there as well. Maybe like a Deadpool early. You've got a Forge in the pocket. I think it works really well. I like this location a lot. I'm very fond of it. Wakanda, no cards here can be destroyed. Ruins my whole day. If Wakanda's the first location, sometimes I forfeit off rip. I'm not even kidding. I will concede immediately because all my decks, Wakanda's the worst. Maybe Sebastian Shaw, am I excited to see it? But there's still counters to Shaw other than Shang-Chi, like Shadow King, so it's always annoying. Wakanda Embassy. Give all the cards in my hand +2 power? Hell yeah, man. That's goated. Who wouldn't like that? Maybe in a Nihilist deck, but still, Green Goblin's still -1. Hobgoblin's still -6. You know, there's some value to be found overall, but it can be a pretty fun location to run into. Throne Room, I'm pretty sure, what is this? Doubles the power of the highest power card here. I'm indifferent. Similar to our friend, I don't even remember what the location's called, but it's like give +3 power to the highest power card here. Oh, Monster Metropolis. I don't think I really get it. I don't think I understand the value of it, because it's still just the highest power wins. But even more so with Throne Room, honestly, the highest power card just wins. So it's a little weird, but we'll take it where we can get it. Warrior Falls, destroy the weakest card here. Not all of them, just the weakest card. I like that a lot. I think it's a fun idea, but it's a bit annoying. People always counter it with armor, and then you lose the fun of the location anyway. I think it's fun, but I'm not super excited to see it all the time. Last couple here, Washington, D.C., cards with no power, give +3 power. Cards with no ability, excuse me. Dude, you're running a Patriot deck? You're stoked. You're snapping on that bad boy. You're running literally any other deck in the game? It does nothing. Washington, D.C. is boring, just like real life. And now, my least favorite location in the entire game, Weird World. Both players draw from their opponent's deck. Dude, I'm trying to play with my deck. I'm trying to play with the deck I created to start things off. Why are you making me draw from their deck? And then they're going to draw my cards. And if we don't have Scarlet Witch or Storm or something, we're both stuck drawing from each other's decks. And that's no fun because obviously you need setups and win conditions. I hate it. I hate Weird World so much. Westview, very similar to the Mirror Dimension. Turns into a new location on turn 4. Nice, man. That's sick. It matters more what location you turn into than what location you are beforehand. World Ship destroys all the other locations. That's crazy. Works super well for my deck, works super well for Null and for Death, and I also think it forces you to play really aggressively, especially if this is the 3rd location. You've already played a lot of your cards. You only have very few left that you have to improvise, adapt, and overcome, and I love that. I think that's super exciting from World Ship. Xandar. Cards here have +1 power. Hell yeah, man. I'm not stoked to see this. Again, I think it's a little lackluster, but I'm not disappointed to see it either. And finally, X Mansion. After turn 3, play a random card for both players, and it means random. I've gotten Squirrel Girl, my opponent gets Magneto. Like, it's frustrating sometimes, but I like it. I think the spontaneity is a lot of fun. I think it's really exciting to look into, and I think it's a fun location overall. And with that, folks, this is my total ranking of every Marvel Snap location in the game. Are these a little bit controversial? But yeah, ain't that the point of a tier list, baby? I mean, come on. You guys get the idea. The goated category are my personal favorites. The ones that I love to see, no matter what deck I'm running. I'm super excited to run into those. The good, not great. I think I said it really well with Xandar. It's like, hell yeah, man. It's not the best, but it's certainly not the worst. I think some of them force you to play a really interesting game or really struggle to work around. Some of them do screw you over sometimes, but they're really fun. The indifferent category, pretty self-explanatory. Like I said toward the beginning, I'm not stoked. I'm not devastated. They do their thing. Do not like, you're screwing up my game plan, bro. And it's frustrating, and it makes it really difficult to play the decks that I like to play and ruins my day. These are just cringe locations, gang. I mean, you either run a really specific deck or it just ruins the game for both players, and that's even more frustrating. So I think there's a lot to want. There's a lot to be wanted from these locations overall. And that's all I've got for you guys. So thank you so much for sticking around. I knew this was going to be a long video when I started it, but if you like it, let me know. I don't want to be making videos people don't like. I would love to do tier lists of, you know, 1 cost up to 6 cost cards. I think that could be really exciting. I would love to do more Marvel Snap content. So if you like it, please drop a comment or even just a like on the video. It goes a really long way. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.